Welcome everybody to the Broken Wing Racing League. The GT3 Sprint Championship is underway for the finale, Season 10, here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. I don't think it's a fan favorite, but it is what the winner of last season chose for this this race to be held here. It's held dearly to Trey Mistack. We have 28 drivers here on track. Ready to put it all on the line. There's still a lot to happen, even though some drivers are calling this their drop week. It's not going to be enough to just have this be your drop week, because the points alone, looking at it, Jacob Simmons is leading the Pro Championship right now, and narrowly by, I think, 30 to 70 points difference to Peter Flanner. Christopher Daniel, who is not showing up on this last race, he is part of the Pax Oceani Purple team, who is in the lead with John Javecki sitting P5 in practice. He is the other Pax Oceani driver who's going to have to haul in some good points. And if he does so, it's going to considerably help their chances in that team standings against the, I'm going to have to say it, the one-time world champion Bush's Baked Beans with Lamb Dog Duke Memorial Race Team, presented by the one-time world champion Bush's Baked Beans with Lamb Dog Duke Memorial Race Team. Of Chris Lambeth and Jacob Simmons. Jacob Simmons, who's sitting in third right now in practice. Chris Lambeth in 10th. Their haul in points on this run could net them a victory. At the moment, they're separated by 15 points, net points. The final points, it's technically less, but we haven't gone through the drop week just yet. But what we're going to see is the drop week for race round 4 for the Baked Bean team, when they had 332 net points on a race. And the drop week could possibly be this race for John Javecki, depending on how many points he gets alone since his teammate isn't here. The other round for them was 409 points they received. Now, if we're going off of round by round, it looks to be in favor of the Baked Beans team. If they can consistently haul in some strong points, definitely over 400, maybe even 500, they might win this World Championship. So it's exciting to see. I have no idea who's going to win that one. We won't know until it's all over. We have 5 minutes 37 seconds in practice to go. There is still the chance, a slight chance, but a marginal chance that Draft Punk Racing can take P1 in the team standings. Elliot Burton and Peter Flanner still are out there right now. Elliot Burton in P11, Peter Flanner in first. And thank you, Devinus, for following. Appreciate that. And they could still win this. They could also come back. They're in third place in the team championship. On round 2, they net over 1,000 points. On round 5, they had 65 points totaling out for the team. It could be said, when it rains, it pours for Draft Punk Racing, as they had quite possibly one of the worst scenario cases happening. Both drivers in the top 10 completely ran out there, and not a single one of them really pulling in decent points from that exchange. I think Elliot Burton stayed out there and try to just net something, but it wasn't. That's definitely going to be the drop week for them. But if they can do something similar, which is get over 500 and something points on this one, they might clutch it. They're technically 56 points away from P1 on net points, which means the win for the battle for P1 in the team championship is still on. Pax Oceani Purple, the Beans team, the Bush's Baked Beans team, I'm not going to say their whole name again, and Draft Punk Racing and Peter Flanner. and Elliott Burton. Outside of that, we have Christopher Daniel, who's not going to be here. More than likely, he's going to lose his P2 spot just based on what I'm looking at on the data, even with a drop week. It's going to be a showdown for Peter Flanner and Jacob Simmons, who is sitting in P3. Peter Flanner now going faster with a 120.9. That's interesting. The pro standings with a drop week puts them still far off, about 200 points. That gap meaning that even if Peter Flanner finishes in P1 during this race, Jacob Simmons only has to stay within a 200-point deficit of him, which would be somewhere finishing above P5, I believe. And if that is the case, I'm actually not even sure what the breakdown is. It might be like P7 or P8 even. He's just got to get within 200 odd loss of points, which means he could net a significant amount. What he does net, more than likely, is still going to keep him ahead for the, I guess we'll see. Jacob Simmons has to finish his race in a good standing. It might take one of his other points differentiating factors away for one of the rounds, dropping that and still netting him a really good result. I mean, consistently what we've seen is it's all on the table right now. Going down to our other drivers in the AM class, we don't see. Actually, I don't see any of these drivers that are on right now. Tyler Kern is not here, but we do have a driver who is. That is Eddie A. Smith, who's sitting in the pit lane, the only driver in the Audi R8 LMS Evo. Eric Palacio is not here with. Actually, no. Rodrigo Theory, he is here. The AM class leader, Rodrigo Theory, is sitting in P1. He's got Tyler Kern in P2. Net points look like without Tyler Kern being here, he is not going to have much of a competition on his hands for that spot. Eric Palacio, another driver who's not here. I guess the AM class is kind of wrapped up in a bow. Eddie A. Smith is here, but he's in P4, and he is gross points behind about 200 and something. I can't do the math right now, but Eddie A. Smith would have to outperform by 200 oddish points on a net gain from what Rodrigo Theory does. Meaning Rodrigo Theory would have to have no points on this race in order for him to do anything with that one. So unfortunately, we got 26 seconds left on practice, and we're going to be going to qualifying. That's 10 minutes long, followed by the 45-minute race here at Mid-Ohio. And yeah, just looking over that, yeah, the real battles here are Peter Flanner, Jacob Simmons, not only for the team championship, but for the pro championship. Rodrigo Theory more than likely is going to nip this in the bud, and I'm not trying to commentate or curse him, but if he gets unfortunately killed in this race, that might bump up Eddie A. Smith's chances. But again, Eddie A. Smith has to finish with a 200-point net gain over Rodrigo Theory, and right now he's in P14. Rodrigo Theory's in 16 in practice. How's it going, Chris Daniel? Go Pax Oceani Purple. Good luck to Alex and JD. Oh yeah, he said he was going to be at the lake with his family. And it is going to come down to the luck of his teammate John Javecki, who was pretty quick in practice. So if he can get him a good haul of points, there he is in second position out there on the track for this qualifying session. And Christopher Daniel at the Pax Oceanic Purple teams just supporting and chat for his teammate John Javecki. Again, they're separated by 15 points in the team championship. What John Javecki can do here today might cement the dominance of the Pax Oceani purple, blue, and green team, which is actually kind of down there, though. They're in P15 in the championship. But Alan Paris and Alex Othen have not made a presentation every race week. And here we are. Making his way down into turn 2, the keyhole. And then just a long straight slash kink, which will be turn 3, the rolling start line. Right about here. This really prepares you for turn 4. And I have the gyro on, so you can really see the ups and downs, where the car is moving through 5, down to 6, and 7. This is the S's. Get one of them wrong, you get them all wrong, and that's turn 8 into turn 9, into Thunder Valley, as they call it. Turn 10 and 11 coming up. Oh, that's 10. And this is 11. And down through turn 12. Followed by the start straight finish. Now, what's interesting, if you just stay wide, getting into the pits is actually fairly easy. From what I've been witnessing by other drivers, it's actually easier to go into the pit lane than it is to stay in that apex and follow it through. As Peter Flanner has only gone third fastest, Sean Javecki is in the lead right now with the 121.450. We've seen 120s out of Peter Flanner, so just an early run for him. And where can Rodrigo Theory go? In theory, he could still lose this. I didn't mean to do that. He could still lose this to Eddie A. Smith, who's sitting in P4 because of the drop week. His net points, if he can get 200 more points than Rodrigo Theory in this race, he can snatch the AM class championship all in the last round. As he goes 12th, Eddie A. Smith is ahead of him. And the separation there is, not 1/10, 2/10 almost. But how can Peter Flanner respond? He's gone back into the pit lane. He's going to go back out, and he's going to go try again. And there goes J.D. Daniel onto P2, overtaking John Javecki for one position there. Justin Scott crosses the line to go P13, splitting Rodrigo Theory and Eddie A. Smith. A decent result, though. If Eddie A. Smith can stay ahead of Justin in this race, if this all shakes up where they're going to stay, then that's going to help out his chances over Rodrigo Theory. Eddie A. Smith. Ooh! Abs David Farmer. Let's go to replay on that. Ooh, it's a little slow on exit out of Dave. Not sure who would really be at fault there. That was like a racing incident in qualifying. That's fine. They'll try again. And we'll go to Kurt Mossey here, the only driver in the Ford Mustang. Gotta check the standings and make sure I'm not wrong. This goes off track. Nothing. No harm, no foul. John Javecki just goes fastest overall. And then Jacob Simmons rushes that by 0.2. Just with 4 minutes to go, Jacob Simmons, now with the fastest lap, 0.2 faster, and seemingly puts the screws to the other 3 drivers that are really in contention for that top spot. Peter Flanner, John Javecki, J.D. Daniel. Jacob Simmons is bowing out. What a lap for him. John Javecki's still out on track. J.D. Daniel is still out on track. Peter Flanner is out there, and he's looking to improve. He's got some time to improve. Mark Foley in behind in P5. Not sure if he's going to... I think he's just going for a... It's going to seem slow a little bit right there. We'll see what he does. This looks like it'll be a real hot lap for him, though. Like, it just... Maybe he was just trying to wind it in, make sure he was getting a great exit on the start straight finish there. While I was talking, Elliott Burton went into P4 to help out his teammate Peter Flanner. That's a 4-5 for them at the moment. This also helps them in the team championship, which is still on. Draft Punk Racing is in third by only 55 points. Wait, 66 points. It's 66 points. It's still close, though. Austin McGill coming into the top 10 with a P6, overtaking Mark Foley. Cooper McCoy also coming in the top 10, overtaking Rodrigo Theory in P9. Eddie A. Smith is down into P11 over Rodrigo Theory. So Rodrigo Theory keeping that AM championship alive for himself. He's ahead of Eddie A. Smith. As long as he stays ahead of him, that's an AM class winner for you for the championship. No changes there, as we see a couple drivers going off track in the background there. I don't know what that's about. Gareth Ham has not set a time on the board. Neither has Michael Kostak. Maybe this is his chance. As he did not set a time that go-around. He's got 1 minute 34 seconds remaining. Peter Flanner going faster, overtaking John Javecki. Oh, and Mark Foley, who I thought was having a slow lap previously. His new lap put him into P4, overtaking J.D. Daniel. The split with Draft Punk Racing is now 2 and 6 over 4 and 5. And Scott Weber, who I think is new. I don't think I've seen this guy's name before. If I have, sorry. I don't even see him on our roster. But Scott Weber. AM class driver who's sitting in P34 in the standings. And he is off. He's only competed in one race, and that was round 5. We'll go over to J.D. Daniel, who's might be on a flyer here. Looks like Jacob Simmons is back out there on track, trying to see if he can collect another good lap. Maybe set another fast lap. And he can see Austin McGill just ahead of him, who's also... What I've noticed in practice is landing themselves in the apex has been difficult. Every driver, not pointing out one driver in particular, J.D. Daniel goes fastest, or goes a little faster. He overtakes John Javecki for P3, and that's going to be his time on the board. John Javecki's already out of and in the pit lane. Peter Flanner might be... No, he's still going to go for it. He's got another chance here as Jacob Simmons crosses the line and sets another fastest lap. Mark Foley is out. Austin McGill is still going to go for another round at this. And he's got a little bit more time. He's got a full lap to go, but Peter Flanner doesn't. He's just through the carousel and onto the start straight finish. Just ahead of him is Michael Kostak, who set a time, and it was P15 for him, just behind Eric Rodriguez. Peter Flanner did not hit that fastest lap there, so he's going to finish. Ooh. Replay there. That is no bueno for Austin McGill. And I believe that's the end of the session, folks. It's just a couple yeah, just something. Purposely went into the barrier there. I think that's what that was. But you know, everyone has to have fun. And we're waiting for this to switch over to the race. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop. Thank Jeff Koffel for following us finally. As you know, Jacob Simmons in P1, Peter Flanner 2, JD Daniel in 3, John Javecki in 4, Mark Foley in 5, Elliot Burton in 6, Austin McGill in 7, Chris Lambeth in 8, Eddie A. Smith in 9, Scott Weber in 10, Cooper McCoy in 11, Rodrigo Theory in 12, Justin Scott 13, Eric Rodriguez 14, Michael Kostak in 15, and Matthew Baldwin in 16. Michael Nash in 17, a lot of Michaels. 18 is Dylan Maroney, Eric Kunzman in 19, Garen Hahn in 20, Steve McAllister 21, Dave Parmer in 22, Kirk Mossy in 23, Blake Patterson in 24, Jeff Lubitsch in 25, Trey Mistek in 26, Noah Hodgkins in 27, Gareth Hammond 29, and if I go over here, I have Jamin Zen in 28. And we are almost underway. Just waiting on Peter Flanner, who is not on the line yet. There he goes. Bats on where Trey Mistak finished this race. He is P26 at the moment, but the man who chose this track is hoping to capitalize on all the mistakes people might make in this race. And shout out, while this is the finale of Season 10, shout out to the 23 teams that came together for this season. And Jacob Simmons, who's hoping to clinch the GT3 Sprint Championship Season 10 over Peter Flanner, who's sitting in P2 or P3, but just by, I think, 70 points. Drop weeks are going to have an effect on this, but it is going to be nerve-wracking for these two. So we wait for the pace car to pull off. And Jacob Simmons wasting no time wanting that pace car to go in. We still got a couple more sections to go, folks. I wonder if this was like a full-on... Oh, this is a full Yikes, this is a whole lap pace car scenario. There's no setting up on that back straight. It's long enough-ish. Maybe, no. Maybe not really. Oh well. We are almost there. This is Keyhole, or the Carousel. Pace car is in. Jacob Simmons is going to have the better line going into turn 1 here. He's already got a head away, but JD Daniels on the inside of Peter Flanner as they go side by side in the Porsche. But he's got the exit. Peter Flanner stays ahead, and just behind everyone else, the gaggle of cars. No real issues so far, as everyone has cleanly been going through. Mark Foley having to contend with Elliott Burton and Austin McGill, just going side by side with him almost. And it looks like there is nowhere for Austin McGill in that brown Valhalla, almost purplish Valhalla. You can see Mark Foley, who we're looking at here in the blue and yellow, still holding it together, but Elliott Burton might finally have him on the inside line going in. Jets Draft Punk Racing, poor position. He's P5. He's hoping to stay P5. And he gets ahead, keeping it clean and keeping it just pointed in the right direction ahead of Mark Foley. I don't think Mark is just done yet, but look at him go. He's trying to make anything happen here. Mark down 1 position, Elliott up 1. Another set of drivers further back. Have Cooper McCoy up 1 position. Eddie A. Smith also up 1 position. And there's Mark Foley going to the outside line again, trying to make something happen here. And almost briefly he gets ahead. And that is Mark Foley's internet. He is in Mexico, so it's got something to do with it. He's blinking, not me. Chris Lambeth in the other Beans, Bush's Baked Beans, is down 1 position off of Eddie A. Smith with a good result here. Rodrigo Theory is down into P12. It's not unfathomable that this driver could make something happen. If we go back over to Austin McGill, just has to get 200 points over Rodrigo Theory. It is possible. Dylan Maroney up 2 positions so far at the start of this race, and he's got Michael Kostak ahead of him, and that's about 4/10 separating these two. Looking over at Trey Mistack, however, he's up 3 positions so far. He's got Jeff Lubitsch behind him in that Campbell Dart Racing livery, but not much change. Oh, it looks like he might have Steve McAllister. Yep, he has him down into turn 1. It's another position gain for him. I'd say an excellent result so far. Michael Kostak only down 1 from the start of this race. He's got Michael Nash and that Marlboro red and white livery behind him in the Porsche. Going back over to Mark Foley, who's looking pretty strong, looking to put some pressure on Elliott Burton. But I'll say Elliott Burton doesn't break easy. He's not going to be sweating over this just yet. Lap 3 of 34. And the blinker has blinked. But doing just fine. Back over to Jacob Simmons, who is well ahead by 1 second over Peter Flanner in Draft Punk Racing, followed by JD Daniel and Pax Oceani Blue. Just behind also is John Javecki in P4. He is separated by the leader by 2.5 seconds, I should say. That's already a good gap. Further back is Elliott Burton, who's 2-second difference to John Javecki. But it just goes to show you the 4 top drivers are driving alone right now. They don't have a gaggle of cars following them, whereas Elliott Burton is leading this train, followed by Mark Foley, Austin McGill, Eddie A. Smith. Eddie A. Smith, who's sitting ahead of his rival, Rodrigo Theory, who's down in P13. This kind of result for him could be the 200 points he needs to win the AM championship, the AM class championship. We'll see. He's got Chris Lambeth behind him. Also, another driver fighting for good points. A good points haul means that they can secure the team championship and not be the one-time world champs, but the two-time world champs. The fight is still on. Got Trey Mistack. He's up 7 positions. Look at that. Matthew Baldwin goes wide, or Garen Hahn goes wide. That purple and orange arrow board. It's deceiving colors for a Ford. No, not a Ford. Not the Ford. The Chevrolet. Oh man, I did it again. That was not even right. Garen Hahn. Yeah, Chevrolet Corvette. He's dropped significantly back. He must have had an accident. Don't see any accident. But we'll click over to this. Jeff Lubitsch. Ooh. And that is an accident. And he went right into the wall. And Eric Koonsman, sitting in P23 at the time. Oh, that's it. He's gone off track there. Austin McGill, who was sitting in P8, P9. It was a P7, actually. He had a little slip up here. And he is tumbling down the order right now. He's in P18. It's unfortunate. Yeah, and that's really what matters there, Chris. Being able to maintain a good distance from the leader. It could always change in the pit stops. These 4 are really still close. Peter Flanner, 9/10 a second from the leader. JD Daniel, John Javecki also sitting pretty close, 6/10, and then 7/10 back. So all still closely. It's going to come down to pit stops, fuel, whether or not they take tires. And Chris Lambeth finally trying to make a move here on Eddie A. Smith. Who, it looks like he's reset. And there's Cooper McCoy in that black top Porsche joining the fight with Scott Webber just behind, and that Corvette. And the Corvette of Chris Lambeth is staying ahead, or staying behind, sorry, behind at Audi. What's going on a gyro here? Let's see what's going on with it. We've seen some passes down this section right here into this corner. But it's not going to be happening for Chris Lambeth right now. And no chance. I mean, it looks like they're kind of reeling away. Cooper McCoy was right there on the rear of Chris Lambeth, but look at him. He's blinking his blinkers, or flashing his lights. And he's gotten ahead. Maybe he's just excited by the move. But there goes, I mean, it didn't look like much of a fight was happening there. He goes through, and it's not really his fight. It's pro versus AM class drivers. But ultimately, Eddie A. Smith is going to want to extend his lead, get the highest position he can get. He needs 200 points offset from Rodrigo Theory's point gain if he's going to win this AM class championship. Went back over to someone who is now up 10 positions. He started P26 and he is P16. The drivers in front of him, of Michael Kostak, on the last lap, Trey was actually slower, but I think he did have to pass him on the last lap, so that makes sense. I guess we'll see a rendition of this. Holy. The man is doing 121.9 on the last lap. If we did the driver comparison here, and we'll click back over to Michael Kostak so you can really see what this looks like. I wouldn't really look at the number ahead. That's just showing that Dylan Maroney's ahead of Michael Kostak in P14 by that middle section. But look at the best laps here. Michael Kostak did a 123.444, and Trey Mistak on this last lap set his fastest lap. The pace difference is really showing right now, and every driver in the top 6 is doing 121s. Every driver outside of that is doing 122s or 123s. So we're going to see Trey Mistak barrel through this field a little bit more before this race is ending. Just going to depend on where. Go on board and see what he sees. It's always a little bit of a struggle for some of these drivers in some of these corners where Trey's already knows the limit and he's found it and he can get by people. Like right here, he's cut and already attacked people into turn 1, but he doesn't do it against the BMW. Not here. And that last lap, he was a little slower. Actually, just marginally better than Michael Kostak, and goes wide on this one. I don't know if that's going to help him here. As they approach the rolling start line, which not really rolling there. There is a difference. So he gets ahead of him before the braking zone and is able to just keep it together. Now he's got a 1.4 second gap to Dylan Maroney that he's got to curb down. I don't think he has to worry about this fight any longer. Going over to Mark Foley. Oh. Okay, Scott Webber loses it. And there goes yikes. That's Justin Scott who hit him. I mean, he held his brakes. So you can say that. As Austin McGill goes through. Every other driver gone through. I'm not even sure who was the was that Eric Rodriguez? Yeah, that was Eric Rodriguez. Doesn't have a front end, or front bumper, I should say. Lost that in the exchange, the melee of seeing a car. Did try to get out of the way. Can't blame him. It was going to always be like this at this track. People were gonna struggle. Apexes and exits and such. As Rodrigo Theory goes ahead of Eric Rodriguez there, and we can clearly see what the issue there for that driver is lost a little bit of aero, just a touch of aero. Still, Maroney gets past him, and he goes into the pit lane. He's going to get that repair. in. Might as well grab fuel as well. As we could see Dylan Maroney getting snatched away by that position to Trey Mistak, who's now up 15 positions and has Rodrigo Theory in his sights. Let's talk about that in a second. We have Chris Lambeth and Elliot Burton fighting it out. The drivers of Draft Punk Racing and the Beans team, the Bush's Baked Beans team, they have a long name. I've said it once or twice already. Shouldn't have to say it every time. But Chris Lambeth is trying to make a move on Elliot Burton. So it'd be a good result for him. As John Javecki is the only driver that is going to be contesting this last race for points against the Beans team, the Bush's Baked Beans team, and Draft Punk Racing, whose both their drivers are in the top 10 at the moment. And that is going to look like we're going to see some pit stop action right now. Everyone's already going for it. They're triggering the pit stops on lap 12. It's a little surprising as Chris Lambeth goes through and Elliot Burton is going to the pit lane. I guess the undercut is going to be something we're going to see. Whether or not that makes sense. Duke isn't going to be happy by your failure to say their full team name. Yeah, you know, it is a failure. It's a failure on my part. And, because I have it in a dock. I have it in a separate dock. But here we go. Trey Mistak, up 60 positions. Now he's got Rodrigo Theory set on his sides here. Rodrigo just has to finish this race where he's at. He could go down 10 positions. Actually, no, he can't. He's got to stay within, I'd say, a margin of 5 to 8 positions to really hold the AM class championship. So his fight isn't with Trey Mistak. I'm not sure if he's going to defend hard on this, but his fight is to stay alive. If he stays alive, Eddie A. Smith does not win from 4th. But if he dies in this race, then Eddie A. Smith wins. It's a tough decision. And Austin McGill just behind Dylan Maroney there in the Trident Ren group. And he's flashing his lights. I don't know why. Trey Mistak's too far ahead. And Austin McGill's down 5. Had an incident. I think he just went off track. But he's stemming the bleeding. And there he goes, trying to send it down on the inside line into Keyhole here. Now we've seen on the rolling start on turn 3, before turn 4, people were making the pass. But this is 2 Corvettes. There isn't really an advantage here. I think he's just going to have to hope that he makes a mistake ahead of him. And we'll look back over to it as Trey Mistak still has not made a move on Rodrigo Theory just yet. The Season 9 GT3 Sprint Champion, who we're looking at in that bright neon yellow, is it orange? Green? No, it's not. Yellow. It's yellow. It's a bright neon something. Anyway, the Ferrari. He's up a position, but it's because there's another driver, Chris Lambeth, in the pit lane. And that shakeup is still happening. Elliot Burton is in P16, overtaking Chris Lambeth, who he was fighting with, and not much change there. Chris Lambeth comes out, and he's just behind, just, you know, now 1.5 seconds back, but they were almost neck and neck. So it looked like it's doing okay for what Elliot had envisioned. He didn't get an overcut, so he doesn't have to worry too much right now. And these two battles for P8 to P11, they are just so close, but no change. You can see all four of these drivers trying to make the move. As Trey Mistek looks to make the move finally, and really nails it down. That's what an impressive move. Before the carousel, that was great. Keeps the position. Now he's going to move ahead. Rodrigo Theory is going to try to hold along with him. He has the pace to do so. Oh, well, actually, maybe. I don't know. What did I say that? The last lap, when Trey Mistek went through, did a 122.6. Rodriguez was a 123.444. Ooh. He's got 4/10 on these two drivers behind him that are also a little quicker. So he's definitely got to worry about that. One of his rivals is Eddie A. Smith, who did a 122.5 last lap, and he's battling Cooper McCoy. I mean, this driver should really just go to the pro class, because he is driving in the pro class. Like, his times are pretty consistent and pretty well in the dominant sector for the AM class, as we have Austin McGill still behind Dylan Maroney. But you can, every lap it looks like he's really trying to make this out. The undercut was pretty strong there. It was there was my 3/10 separating Chris Lambeth and Elliott Burton, and that gap was significant. As a reminder, from P1 to P14, they have now, P1 to P14, none of these drivers have gone in the pit lane. As I say that, now two of the drivers goes into the pit lane. But everyone else is still out there. Back over to Jacob Simmons, who's lapped Gareth Ham. He's got a 2.4 second advantage over Peter Flanner, who's got JD Daniel 1.8, 1.9 seconds back. You can see him right there in the background there. But strongly, JD Daniel and John Javecki are right next to each other. Max Oceani's drivers are communicating with each other, and they're doing well. Both their times are pretty consistent, pretty much the same. We've seen on other occasions where the more dominant driver for the times will get led ahead, and now they're just about doing the same. And Mark Foley, back there in the Campbell Dart Racing, he's 2.9, 2.8 seconds back off of P4. He's sitting in P5 right now. Cooper McCoy and Austin McGill going in the pit lane. There goes Elliott Burton taking up a spot. We knew he was going to take up some spots. He was in the contention for the top 6. So he's P13 right now, and we'll see what happens even further down the line when he continues his push. Eddie A. Smith is actually pretty close to Cooper McCoy in P7. Trey Mistek is 4.8 seconds back, and you can see him right there in that neon yellow livery of the Ferrari. And that's going to be a big change there. If I go over to the driver's best laps here, we have Eddie A. Smith with a 122.1. Trey Mistek was faster by about 4/10. That median thing doesn't really matter. I wouldn't really worry about that. Let's see where these guys are from. Eddie A. Smith is from Mid-South. I don't even know what that means. Mid-South. Cooper McCoy goes into the pit lane. And now the undercut territory is going. Undercut, overcut. Eddie's going to stay out there. And the driver from Ohio, Trey Mistek. Hickman, Ohio. Here's Elliott Burton and Dave Palmer. Dave Palmer has not gone into the pit lane. part of this is down to not great for him that he's going to have to pass a driver on the track when he could have just got the freebie, but he gets it done pretty quickly. And this isn't lap traffic, folks, so both these drivers are going to have to pass Dave Palmer naturally and not slow him up. Chris is going to want to battle Elliott Burton. At the moment, game crashed? Your game crashed. Oh. Oh, Jeff, that sucks. You hate to see it. And Michael Nash getting awfully close to Steve McAllister here for P16. Both these drivers have not gone in the pit lane just yet. We'll pop back over to Chris Lambeth, who's still behind Dave Palmer here. Looking to chase down Elliott Burton. That's a gap that's forming now. You can see it's almost a second. It's actually 1.5. Goes along the inside line. Is he going to have it? I think so. They're going to go side by side through Keyhole, and then they're going to follow this through the rolling start. That little kink that's turn 3. There it is. That's a turn, if I've ever seen one. You have to move here into turn 4. He's got it nailed down. Now he's ahead. But now he's got to reel back that loss that he had. If Dave had gone in the pits, he wouldn't have had a battle, and he would have had a better chance at moving this along. But with 14 more laps to go, it's going to be a strong possibility he goes back into it. Well, is it? I think it could be worth it. Let's see. Rodrigo Theory is out. Trey Mistak is coming out right now. Trey Mistak was... Ooh. Wow. You know what that's actually insane. Trey Mistak is the first driver besides Elliott Burton that was in the top 10 to come back out. Elliott Burton is back in the background. He didn't even have Trey Mistak on his radar in the listings here. But Trey Mistak, I mean, what a dominant force. He is now ahead of Elliott Burton and Chris Lambeth on the pit exit. And he's a solid 5.7 seconds up on those two. You can see Elliott Burton in the background. 17 positions gained for this driver. And he's only going to gain some more, because every driver ahead of him has not gone in the pit lane. If we go over to Jacob Simmons, Trey Mistak has a 37-second gap to the leader. Dylan Maroney has not gone in the pit lane. Matthew Baldwin has not gone in the pit lane. But Elliott Burton, Chris Lambeth, and Cooper McCoy have, and they're going to make some gains here. Here goes... Oh. Trey Mistak is going to the pit lane now. Wasn't he just in the pit lane? What is happening? A stop and go penalty? Oh, that must be it. Yeah, he must have had some type of penalty. Whoa. All those positions gained, and he drops back to P10. Or P16. 10 positions gained. I didn't curse him, but that is cursed. He's going to have to spend the next 13 laps trying to retake positions he gained naturally through his first stint. I mean, he'll gain some of them, because ahead of him is 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 drivers that he might get as Austin McGill finally makes the move on Steve McAllister. We'll go back and see this replay. Down into turn 4. We've seen this happen a couple times now, and yeah, or that seems to be a spot for all drivers to make that move. Now, where's it going to be? Elliott Burton, I guess, is really making out on this one. Dylan Maroney is staying out. Rodrigo Theory comes in. There goes Elliott Burton. We knew he was going to get by. It had to be some type of penalty for Trey Mistak. He was on par to look to be actually battling for the top steps. It would have been possible. Yikes. You hate to see it. It's Austin McGill and Michael Nash battling it out there, and it's going to take that spot from him. There's Trey Mistak. Behind, he's got Eric Rodriguez, Steve McAllister to contend with. It looks like he's going to get right ahead of Steve. Is he going to jump in front of... Yep, he goes for the inside line here into turn 4 and gets ahead of both of them. Picking up 2 positions in one straight. The man from Ohio probably knows this track pretty well. He picked it. And still an impressive gain of 12 positions so far, going to P14. And what is there to say? Elliott Burton. His stint is 11 laps on right now. Let's see. And I'm trying to look here. It looks like Trey Mistak pit on lap 19 and then had a pit again on lap 20. So he must have had some type of issue. But yeah, that's it. Elliott Burton getting another position. Drivers that are in the pit lane. Chris Lambeth also picking up some points there. Now, where is it? Jacob Simmons, he comes out. He's in P3 at the moment. He's got John Javecki and JD Daniel just ahead of him. They're going to go for the overcut. Where did Peter Flanner hook up on that? He's 3.9 seconds, 3.8 seconds. So roughly pit stops for both these drivers went as expected. Bit of lap traffic from Damien Zen. Got out of the way. Peter Flanner. John Javecki and JD Daniel are going into the pit lane now. What does this mean? So he sees the pit lane. And Jeff Lubitsch out there. Glad to see Jeff is back out there on track after having crashed. Retakes P1. Looks like he's really trying to secure this championship. Jacob Simmons, who is leading the Pro Class Championship, has Christopher Daniel and Peter Flanner to contend with, but Christopher Daniel is here with us in spirit and on the stream, but he is not going to be netting any more points. And as it stands, with the drop week in effect, he will not move up anywhere. He'll probably lose P2 and turn into P3. JD Daniel, however, might take P3 from Christopher Daniel. No relation. I feel like that's good to know. And there's Mark Foley doing pretty well. Was P5, is P5. JD get will P3 from the driver's standings. More than likely he'll get P3 in the driver's standings. And Trey Mistack is... What can you say about this driver? P16, P10, 16 positions gained. Had to pit twice. And he's still in the top 10. I mean, he has the training wheels on right now. Just... In a full pit stops. 28 seconds? 25 to 28 seconds, something like that. Oh, what am I saying? It's 30 seconds. Look at that. That pit stop L lap 20, 30.2 seconds. Ah, but some people did 28.7, so I wasn't totally wrong there. Oh, God. JD Daniels spins it. And through went John Javecki and Mark Foley. His car is intact, folks. It's got Elliott Burton 8.3 seconds back. I think he's fine. The points he'll haul from this will still put him into P3. Peter Flanner more likely taking P2 in the championship. Mark Foley, however, another driver who might actually... I mean, Mark Foley, Elliott Burton, and John Javecki, they're close enough. Off the single race, it might... I mean, I don't know specifically. I can't look at all of the different rounds here, but it looks like Christopher Daniel might go down even more than just P4. He might go down P5 or 6. Possibly. Mark Foley and Elliott Burton are both going to put in some good haul of points for this this race. And Elliott Burton's drop week, he's got 2 of them, but they're only going to give you 1, which is 30 points. The net points is going to get him really close in the standings, really be up there in the championship. Justin Scott. The 2 BMWs, the only BMWs on the track, are right next to each other for 14th and 15th. Justin Scott in the red and gray and black, and Michael Kostak in the yellow and black. What's up with BMWs and just like default as black? Still looks cool. You're on lap 28 of 33. It really just comes down to who has the pace to still be within a shooting match of someone else. And one of them is Rodrigo Theory and Trey Mistack. Just ahead of him is Kurt Mossey, who's not fighting for position. Said that Justin Scott was ahead of Michael for a second. Not sure what I can trust. Back over to the gyro here. We got Trey Mistack, who's now 4/10 away. I mean, he was, 4 seconds away laps ago. So, also passed Rodrigo at one point. So him having to pass again. Cooper McCoy's 9 seconds ahead in P8 of this battle. I don't think there's going to be more maximizing happening out of Trey Mistack's race, but That is, you got to think, that's a full minute that he has lost in this race because he had to pit twice. And that's got to be frustrating. And here he goes, makes the move before keyhole. And he has really tight on the inside line, and Cooper McCoy going really wide there. And there it is, done. Five laps to go. Peter Flanders actually reeled in Jacob Simmons just a little bit. It's 3.8 seconds back. He was in the fours for a little bit. What I could say confidently, it's actually, I won't say it. I won't say it. I'll let the race end. I'm not gonna curse anybody right now. Oh man, that would be just the saddest thing ever to do. Justin Scott still sitting behind Michael Kostak. Let my commentator voodoo not affect the race right now. You don't want to know what I was saying? Ooh, what's that? That's Jamie Jen. Slow down for those two drivers in the carousel. It's an odd placement. But it's still relatively clean. Got Gareth Ham. It's got Jamie Jen. 1.4 separation there. And back over, we have Jacob Simmons still leading the race. Got Stephen Gallagher just ahead of him. And after this, I don't think he's going to have to worry too much about lap traffic. There's only Dave Palmer ahead of him by 7.8 seconds, and that's not I don't think it's going to come to that. Peter Flanner reeled in about 4/10. He's 3.3 separation. He's gaining a little bit there. Not a lot. There's John Javecki still holding out for the Pax Oceani purple. I'm actually not quite sure how this is going to shape up for this team on the allotment of points. The drop week for, and I'll say it this time, the one-time world champion Bush's Baked Beans with Lamb Dog Duke Memorial Race Team, presented by the one-time world champion Bush's Baked Beans with Lamb Dog Duke Memorial Race Team. Sitting in P2 in the pro champion, or in the team standings, their drop week, they had 332 points in round 4. With this said, Chris Lambeth is going to finish this race in 7th and Jacob Simmons in 1st. That is a haul of points for them. John Javecki and Chris Daniels rounds have all been extremely strong. The lowest score that they've had on the net points, or the gross points, is a 409. So with this being said, this haul, and Chris Lambeth finally coming back to help out his teammate win this championship, the team championship, becoming the 2-time champions. It's going to come down to this. John Javecki finishing P3 is a strong result, but I don't believe it's going to be a strong enough result for them to hold P1. But P2, it might be in the bag. Actually, no. Elliot Burton and Peter Flanner in P2 and 6. So we're going to see the dominance of Pax Oceani Purple go down a couple positions and finished third in the team championship. But mind you, what an incredible result for Pax Oceani. Purple team, the blue team, and the green team. Coming in and all of their drivers sporting in, the top 10. I think only one driver is out of the top 10 in the Pro Championships right now. We have Jordan Groves in 10, John Javecki in 7, Christopher Daniel in 2nd, JD Daniel in 4th. You have Alex Othen and Ellen Paris, who haven't showed up for every race. I can see why they're in 22nd and 32nd. But then they also had another driver they recruited. First race in and puts it in the top, I think, the top steps. I think third, or can't remember specifically. You guys might know. No change in the order. Everyone's, after the pit stops, no one's really near anyone. They're all separated. The final lap, we'll see what happens here. How much more does Jacob have to go through? He is through the carousel. And this looks to be it. And that is Jacob Simmons, P1, finishing P1, and finishing the pro standings, being our GT3 champion for Season 10. Peter Flanner finishing 2nd. John Javecki in 3rd. Mark Foley in 4th. JD Daniel in 5th. Elliot Burton is crossing line into 6th. Chris Lambeth is going to cross the line in 7th. Cooper McCoy out there. Through the final corner he goes. He's going to finish in 8th. Trey Mistak in 9th. He got Rodrigo Theory a couple laps ago, and he's going to finish in 10th. Eric Rodriguez has Gareth Hahn behind him, and so both of them are going to finish. Gareth Hahn in 23rd. Eric Rodriguez in 11th. Dylan Maroney back there in P12. Eddie A. Smith in 13th. So Rodrigo Theory is going to win the AM Class Championship for the Season 10. So congrats to Rodrigo Theory there. And Michael Kosek in 14th. Justin Scott in 15th. Matthew Baldwin out there in 16th. Scott Weber in 17th. Michael Nash in 18th. Dave Palmer in 19th. Eric Koonsman in 20. We have Jamie Jen, who just finished, and he's in 25. So Steve McAllister in 21. Blake Patterson in 22. Garen Hahn in 23. Kurt Mosey in 24. It looks like this driver is still celebrating his championship. They're all celebrating. Jamie Jen in 25. Gareth Ham in 26. Austin McGill in 27. Jeff Lubitsch in 28. Noah Hodgkinson not having competed in this race. What a result for all these drivers. What a fantastic result in the team championships. And what a fantastic way to finish this. I believe we will see shortly, but I am almost confidently going to state that with that said, the one-time world champion Bush's Baked Beans with Lambdog Duke Memorial Racing, presented by the one-time world champions, are going to be the two-time world champions Bush's Baked Beans with Lambdog Duke Memorial Race Team, as well as Jacob Simmons winning. And we have pull over here, and how's it going, Cooper McCoy?
Thrilled. Had a great time. It was a fun race. I enjoyed the track a little more than I thought.
Oh, and you finished ahead of Rodrigo Theory in that race, so congrats on that AM class win.
Thank you. And it was my second one, and both of them were on season finales.
Well, what a fantastic result. You look strong. I mean, you were strong. You had been battling it out with, I think, not Eddie A. Smith, but who was the driver ahead?
Yeah, Eddie was ahead of Chris Lambeth for a little while, and Chris is a pro driver. So Eddie held up Chris a little bit. We all started racing a little bit together, and then I got past Eddie, and he was right on my bumper for 6-7 laps or so, and I was just burning up my front tires. So I did an early pit stop and took left side tires, and those got me through to the end.
The undercut seemed to be the strategy there. We saw a lot of drivers go through that. That was a fantastic result. Congratulations on that on the AM class win. It wasn't the overall for the AM class, but fantastic result regardless. Hope to see more
Yeah,
again.
yeah, I missed a couple races this season, but glad to end on a strong note.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining me, man.
Thanks, Chase.
Jacob Simmons, congratulations. I believe this is the GT. You are the GT3 champion as well as the race winner for season 10. That's got to feel great.
It feels so good. I finally did it. After how many seasons of coming up short against Trey,
I mean,
good.
What a fantastic result.
Him,
putting himself in the back of the grid.
Him not competing. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you still did. I mean, you found some dominance here. Peter Flanner was doing really well in practice, showing a very dominant form, but then you ended up getting him on the qualifying, and then you just stayed ahead, 3-4 seconds. Even after the pit stops, you just maintained that pace. I mean, were you just looking after your tires? Did you take tires? How was that going for you?
No, I didn't take tires. I think I don't know. I just feel like I had a lot of pace today. I feel like, once I built up a little bit of gap, I took it a little bit easy and was trying to watch out for my tires. But yeah, it felt really good, and I just I like this track a lot. It flows nice. So
fantastic points haul. Your teammate finishing P7. That's got to be just a really great result. I mean, you guys, I think, are going to be the 2-time champs now for the team standings.
We doing it for Duke, baby.
Absolutely, and your teammate was able to finally be here and support you in this championship on the last race.
I know, about time, right? About time he showed up and started pulling his weight.
About time. Thank you, Jacob. Congratulations, not only on the win for today, but I mean, that's the championship. Cheers.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Yep. And I'm going to pull in both of you at the same time. I have Peter Flanner, who finished P2, and John Javecki in P3. Fantastic result for both of you guys. I think Peter Flanner, that puts you into P2 in the AM class championship. So congratulations on finishing P2. John Javecki, P3. Both of you, how was this race going for you? I saw that, Peter, you were starting to reel in Jacob, right towards the end.
I was starting to reel in Jacob towards the end because of lap traffic, but then the lap traffic affected me as well. So it just took all that time that I clawed back right away. So I think Jacob just ran a really good race. I couldn't really hang with him. I'm lucky that JD Daniel behind me had a little incident because he was staying like right behind me the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
I was really kind of sweating the whole race because of that.
I mean, you had Pax Oceani purple and blue right on your heels. John, you being in the cockpit next to JD Daniel, I saw the incident. That's got to feel a little bad. He's your sister teammate. How was that going for you guys?
Yeah, I died a little bit when I saw him spin like that. It was sad. It was bittersweet though because I knew that I'd be in P3 after that. But no, it was we were staying relatively the same pace together. I mean, I'm like Peter was saying, I'm sweating. I'm moist here in my my gaming or my sim rig. So, but no, it was a little bit slidier than I thought it would be after doing some practice.
Well, I mean, you guys really showed it right at the start before the pit stops. You guys, the top 4 of you, were still within seconds of each other, which really mattered. You guys pulled away from P5 a significant amount, and you guys, all 4 of you, really just showed you were in a class of your own. Albeit there was one driver on the grid behind you guys that was putting in the same lap times as you guys, just further back in the field. And yeah, getting past some people, but it was impressive to watch you guys stay with each other. It's a little mind-boggling what the pit strategy might have been like for you guys, because once you came out, no one was really close to anyone else.
Yeah, we blew it. Both JD and I missed the pit stop and had to reverse, and we were both thinking about taking left side tires, but with how little time left there was in the race, I opted to not take him, and I think JD didn't take him as well. But yeah, we both of us unfortunately missed our pit stops, and
Yeah.
caused us, that'll always cost you, right?
Not only that, but like people that did take the left sides had a good improvement on the rest of the race.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again, both of you, not only for the close racing, but I mean a close team battle. I think it's going to be Draft Punk Racing that's going to take P2 in the championship, and you guys go down to 3. But I mean, you try to haul in some points for your team, and that's congratulations.
Absolutely. And a little shout out to Christopher Daniel. He was not here, and he's our Obi setup Kenobi, if you want to call him that, for this for all of our races. But no, he's the reason why we're so high up in the standings. So I try to do my part and get a decent finish. But shout out to those guys, and shout out to all the other team members of PAX. And it's been fun, and looking forward to next season.
Yep. Well, thank you, John. Thank you, Peter. I mean, also shout out to Ellie Burton finishing P6 for your team, really helping you that team championship for you guys. I mean, cheers to both of you.
Yeah, shout out to Elliot. He had a lot of good results all season, helping out the team. So yeah.
Yeah, just an unfortunate round 5 for both of you.
Well, yeah, you can't be. You can't have a great race every time.
Exactly.
Every time you go out.
Well, thank you guys for joining me.
Thank you, Jason.
And to round it out, we talked to the pro class winner, and now we're talking to Rodrigo Theory, who's the AM class winner. Rodrigo, I mean, you had a really great race. You were having to defend against, some faster people. You really put on a good show. I mean, you were right there neck and neck with Eddie A. Smith throughout qualifying. I mean, all I said was you had to keep it together, not have any mistakes, and there you are. You won it for this season 10. How do you feel, man?
I mean, this is definitely a very tough track. So I mean, I'm ecstatic that I finally was able to keep it together and bring it, I guess, home, quote unquote, in a good result. And it's exactly like you said. This track it's very punishing unless you're very consistent and very just conservative with all your inputs. So just very happy to finally make it across the line safe.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I saw that you had Trey Mistack just right there, and he finally was able to get past you, but there were so many times when maybe he could have done it quicker or slower. I mean, it just you held your own, and you could tell that there was definitely a pace difference, but it did come down to him just finding that final moment to attack, find the gap, and I think you went wide through the keyhole, and that's what really did you in there.
Yeah, I had to battle against him twice. I think once before pitting and once after pitting, and so that was both fun times. And honestly, it's always great to race against somebody with a different class of racing altogether. And I could not keep up with him. He's very, very good on this track, very, very smooth. And I think it's just a matter of difference in inputs, and he's just so much better at it. I mean, this track rewards you for that, so it was a perfect choice for him to round out this season.
Yeah, not only that, I mean, it was his choice, but the other thing was he had to pit twice. He pit on lap 19 and on lap 20, and he was back down there, I think in like 19th to 20th, and I was like, well, there's no way he's going to be able to claw back any of these positions with, 13 laps to go, but, he came in and he went back to P9, but still, both times you fought him, and you held your own for many laps. I mean, congratulations. You beat Tyler Kern and Eric Palacio for that top step in the AM Class Championship. I think that means you're going to get promoted. And with that promotion, good luck in the pro class.
Thank you. Definitely going to need it. These guys are very fast, very skilled, and usually very fun to race. So I'm excited to move on up and let others take the AM banner and keep working hard at it.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining me, Rodrigo. Cheers on your championship. Good luck in the pro class next season.
Alrighty, thank you so much, Jason.
Yep. And thank you, Chris Daniel, for your nice words there. As same with you, Groves. I think that's Jordan Groves, who's a fantastic driver who blessed us a couple times this race or this season to see you racing. I hope you guys come around for the next week. It's going to be a street fight between 4 different leagues, and it's going to be the 12 fastest drivers from each league battling it out. I'm not even sure what track we're at. It could be Spa, or I think it might be I think it might have been Le Mans, but I'd be guessing. I forgot to look at the details on that one. But it's going to be a great one. It's Road America. There you go. We're at Road America. Thank you for saying that, Chris. But it's going to be a big result here. It's going to be a big streamed event. We're going to have commentators from every league. So the 4 different leagues. We're going to put this on. It's going to be a really great event. We've done a street fight before. We've actually done a couple of them, and they're really fun because you really get to see the differences in how respectful people are, even cross leagues. So thank you for joining me. Thanks for listening to the driver interviews and getting to see 2 champions from AM and Pro Class. Get to celebrate that. I mean, what a fantastic result. I know Jacob Simmons has been fighting for it. I think Rodrigo Theory fought really hard against Tyler Curtin and Eric Palacio for, race after race, especially Eddie A. Smith, who really gave him a run for his money towards the end, but he did finish 13th, just behind, 3 positions behind Rodrigo there. West Coast Racing, Can AM Sim Sport, Brokering Racing League, and OMEC. Can't wait to see that. Thanks everybody for joining me on this one, and tune in next weekend, next Sunday for that street fight. And have a good night.